Hey guys, it's X Nightstars, or Izzy, whatever you want to call me. Anyway, I've noticed that there aren't any tutorials on doing advanced facial movements, and a number of people have asked me how I do it, so I figure I'd try to help you guys out. Do note that it's a bit complicated and time-consuming, but in my opinion it's worth the effort. As well, this tutorial is only for Sony Vegas. I've never used Flash or After Effects, and have no clue if this would work at all in those programs. With all of that said, let's get started. So here I've already placed the body of my base character in Vegas. The next step is to go to Bannedstory to isolate the face and save it as a PNG. The best way to do this is to go to File, Save PNG Image, Select Image, and make sure that the selected image is the face. This will give it a transparent background and prevent any white from flooding into the clearer parts of the face, such as the eyebrows. Make sure you save a blank head as well, obviously important. If you want to do varying expressions, then you'll have to save multiple faces, like F4 if you want sad eyebrows, or F1 if you want angry eyes. Next, you're going to need a paint program that supports transparency. I used to use Photoshop, but these days I use Paint.net, but I think Fire Alpaca would also work. Those two are both free, and are much easier to get than Photoshop, so I'd recommend either of those. For every character, I have a base sprite saved, so I can keep everything the same size and aligned when importing them into Vegas. I open that base file in my paint program, and then import the facial expressions. Try your best to keep them aligned, otherwise it might look wonky when you go to animate. When it looks like it's in the right place, hide the base layer and save it. If you want to do eye movements that involve the iris shifting, you're going to have to do a bit of editing. I usually copy both of the iris and paste them onto a new layer after deleting them from the eye layer, fill in the whites of the eyes, tweak the irises as needed, and save them individually. Besides that, don't worry about cutting out any facial features and saving them individually. We'll get to that in a bit. Now it's time to move everything into Vegas. The way I order them is to start with the head, and then move on to the mouth, eyes, and then the eyebrows. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm also going to add the isolated eyes so I can show you how to animate those as well. So right now, everything looks like a complete mess, yeah? There's an easy way to fix this. We just have to go to our good friend masking. To get there, you have to go to pan crop and then select the masking option. With this, you can cut out exactly what you need. I only need the mouth for this layer, so I select the square tool and simply cut it out. When separating things like eyes from eyebrows, I find it easier to use the anchor tool, as it provides much more freedom. Once you have everything cut out, it's time to use track motion. These arrows over here allow you to create parent and child tracks, which are vital to advanced facial movements, especially if you want to do head movements as well. Please, take my word for it. Don't use pan crop to move the features. They'll look awful when you go to animate them. The parent track is this top one with this little track motion square next to it, and the ones underneath it are the child tracks. When selecting the parent track, any child track attached to it will move with it like this. Finding the proper rotation point can be a bit of a pain, but just be patient, you'll get it eventually. So now we're going to animate the face, starting with the mouth. When it's just one sprite, I use pan crop to shift it to the side. Yeah, sweet, simple. But if a character needs to change mouths, that's when I go to the child track's track motion. That's what people use to make characters' mouths when changing expressions. I'm sure you've used it before. After importing another mouth and aligning it properly, I place a keyframe right where the two mouths split. Two more keyframes are placed behind and in front of that keyframe, and it's only the middle one that we're messing with. The middle one will be squished, like so, to give it the impression that they're opening their mouth. Once again, make sure they're aligned. Eyebrows are the ones I put the least amount of effort into. Once again, if I only need one set of eyebrows, I just use pan crop to move them as needed. If it's changing expressions, I lift the first eyebrows, align the second set so that they are the same height, and then lower them again. You could also do the squish effect with the eyebrows if you so desire. And finally, the eyes. In my opinion, this is the most time-consuming part of advanced facial movements, especially if you're moving the irises. To make a character blink, you're going to need the eyes closed sprite at the very least. You can include the middle frame, if you'd like, but I just don't bother. With separated irises, you're going to have to make them squish at the same time as the whites of the eyes, as well as remove them when the eyes are closed. To do this, I just copy-paste the keyframes I used for the whites. With eyes, I like to give them a more bouncy look when they blink, so the middle keyframe that we fiddle with is placed in the center of the blink sprite, like so. You have to make sure the sprite is aligned with the open eyes, so it looks natural when they open. When shifting the irises, I just go back to pan crop. You're going to need 2 layers for each eye, so be sure to mask them properly. If you want a character to look a different direction, all you have to do is move them in pan crop. Make sure the keyframes are set at the same time, because I'm pretty sure your character is not a chameleon. As for obtaining the shocked or surprised look, that's where it gets a bit more complicated. Go to pan crop to edit the first eye, I usually do the one that's facing the screen. Set a base keyframe, and then a second so that it shrinks. Now, for the second eye, set 2 keyframes at the same time. For the second one, copy and paste the second keyframe from the first eye. As you can see, it flew right out of the character's eye, which is not what we want. Don't adjust the size, just look at the first keyframe for reference and do your best to align it so it stays in place for the most part. And we're done! Here's the final result. I'm fully aware that there's probably better ways to do this, and I'm definitely not the best teacher, but I hope this was able to help some of you. Please feel free to ask any questions if you don't understand something, and I will answer to the best of my ability. Thank you for watching!